Hello, and welcome to another virtual happy hour hip historian tour. We are glad to have you join us this evening. My name is Brenda Holt, and I am the Associate State Director of Community Outreach and Advocacy for the Arizona State Office of AARP. We are the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence of nearly 38 million members across the nation and over 900,000 right here in Arizona, we are working to strengthen communities and we advocate for what matters most to families, such as health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. In honor of November being National Caregiver Month, we are focusing on navigating long term care options. We will also be addressing mental health issues and more. Please visit us at aarp.org/caregiving for tips, tools, and other resources. Thank you for joining us again. Please be safe and be well. Take it away, Marshall.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary folk, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Marshall Shore.
Well, hello, good evening, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving Eve as we get ready to launch into some really fun stuff over the next few days. I know I'm hanging out with lots of great friends, so it's going to be a fun time. So I want to welcome you all to Arizona History Happy Hour. Now, I know some of you are watching us on Twitch. A lot of you are watching us on Facebook, a few on YouTube, as well as even on Twitter. So thank you all so much for tuning in on November 24th, Thanksgiving Eve. Now, it's a special day, not just because it's Thanksgiving Eve, but there have been a lot of things going on. Why? Just a few days ago, back in 1923, Arizona, they decided they would basically take about 1,000 gallons of illegal booze they had confiscated and they dumped it into the Salt River. Now, I know a lot of people might need whatever they were throwing in that river to help you get through the next few days. So that's why we're here, to bring you a bit of levity, bring some fun into your day, and some cocktails as well. Now, it's also National Sardine Day. Now, some of you might be celebrating Thanksgiving with some sardines or Friendsgiving as well with some sardines. Now, I know I probably will not be celebrating with any sardines in the house, and that's okay. They come in tins, they come smoked, grilled, pickled, pretty much any way you want to eat them. And they are from across the globe, from the US, UK, Turkey, Portugal, France, Greece, and Morocco, and even India. All enjoy a good sardine. Now, also, as we get ready to launch into lots of family time, music can help us get through as well. And so today is International Jukebox Day because, right down to even the new ones that don't even play records, CDs, or anything that are just MP3, it's a great way to have a wide variety of music at your fingertips. I know it's like I was recently at a little bar downtown called Gracie's, and we were listening to the jukebox there. So I'm glad to see that jukeboxes are still around and playing music for everybody. Now, if this is your first time to Arizona History Happy Hour, what can you expect here on Arizona History Happy Hour? Why, we've got a little bit of trivia. We have a little Arizona, talking about a small town. We've got some Arizona music. We have From the Vault, which can be stuff that you normally don't see. Maybe it's in plain sight, maybe not. And of course, we do have a beverage and an oh so special guest this evening. So if this is your first time watching, you might wonder, who is that man and why is he on my screen? Well, my name is Marshall Shore. A little over 22 years ago, I was working in Brooklyn at a beautiful Carnegie building, the Arlington Library, and decided it was time for a change to trade in all that cold wind, that snow, that ice, that slush. And I decided to trade it for a little 1950s library in South Phoenix. And that was really my first taste of Phoenix. There was this oral tradition of the community. And that's one of the things that got me going on just trying to help chronicle kind of our history. Now, that little library is gone now, but they're in a pretty fancy modern digs, as you can see. Now, when we first moved here, we promptly moved into a 1956 ranch. And originally it was oh so many tones of beige. I'm happy to say now that it is 2 tones of seafoam and cantaloupe. Now there's what my kitchen looks like today. All that buttercream yellow tile right out of the box from 1956, including the original appliances, that matching yellow in the oven with the stove top that matches as well, and even those push buttons inset in the wall. Now, as soon as I got here, all I kept hearing how there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true because every time I went somewhere, I kept coming across so many amazing people, places, and stories. And so that's what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about some amazing people, places, and some really cool stories that you might not know. Now, also, there's that post-war boom that I think in a lot of ways made the Arizona that we all know and love today. All those GIs that either were stationed here, trained here, or passed through on their way to somewhere else. And after the war, they were moving here in huge numbers. Now, I'm also known as a hip historian, which means I get to have a lot of fun with Arizona history. Now, we do our monthly Arizona history haunted walking tour in downtown Phoenix. The next one coming up is December 18th. You can check that out on hiphistorian.com. Also coming up on December 11th with Majestic Theaters, I'm going to be doing a little preview, kind of talking about kind of the history, the lore of the movie Psycho, which started off being filmed right here in downtown Phoenix. And so we're going to get a chance to talk about some of the stuff that's in the movie that is still standing, and some things and some myths as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun as we get a chance to chat about some Hollywood and probably one of Hitchcock's greatest movies. Now, also on December 11th, we are doing our virtual LGBTQ plus story circle. So if you know anyone who's interested, have them go over to AZ Gay History and they can sign up and attend and tell their own story. And then this Sunday, I'm excited. You know, with holidays coming, markets are popping back up again. And so this Sunday, there is the Melrose stuff going on. And from noon to 6, I will be at the Lyceum Park, which is right there at 7th Avenue and Montecito at the Melrose Community Market. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you all hanging out and chatting. Now, I see some of you have already found the chat. If in case you don't get something in the chat, you can always reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or even good old-fashioned email does still work. Now, if you're watching on Facebook, I will ask you to click on share because we're going to have a lot of fun tonight and probably a few laughs, and maybe there might be a few beverages, but we shall see. Anticipation. All right. So I talk about being from Brooklyn, but you know, I really grew up in a small town in Indiana of about 25 people. 2 roads, 1 stop sign, and now I'm here. So, but that I kind of like small towns because they're really an interesting kind of picture of where we are. And so we're going to talk a little bit about Naco, Arizona. So as you can see, it's literally right on the border. Now, the name Naco. Now, there's a couple myths out there. One of them is that it actually means nopal cactus from the indigenous communities that were here before. There's also the other myth that it is the first, well, actually, it is the last letters of Arizona and Mexico, and that's how they came up with the name Naco. But I'm going to refer to one of my favorite books. Oh, the green screen kind of, okay, there we go. If we hold it just right, which is Arizona Place Names by Barnes. And so let's see what they have to say. Many believe this was coin word worked out by B.A. Packard, who had an early cattle ranch there. Now, those that said it was the last letters of Arizona and Mexico, that was false. They were figuring on building this railroad. The engineers asked me to suggest a name for the first station on the line, then called Southern Pacific of Mexico. On the road was being built principally to reach mines in Nacozari, Mexico. And I suggested the first half of the name of Nacozari, and Naco was the result. So there you go. Direct from Mr. Barnes himself. All right. So Naco. So it's a town just under 1,000 folks. Now, if you go, it's actually right across the border from its sister city on the other side of the border in Mexico. So the gateway to Naco, from Naco, is open 24/7. You can get through. Now, if you do go visit, there is Fort Naco. Now, some may call it Camp Naco or Fort Newell. It was one of the last forts to be built by the U.S. in the Continental Territory, and is the only remaining border fort out of several that were constructed during the Mexican Revolution. It is currently owned by the city of Bisbee, and I hear that they have gotten some funds to refurbish it. Now, but what Naco is really well known for is back in 1929, there was the Escobar Rebellion, where rebel forces were battling for control of the neighboring town of Naco on the other side of the border. And a mercenary was hired to drop some bombs on the other Naco. And so he kind of got his wires crossed and actually bombed the U.S. side. And so there you go. And, it also is home to the oldest golf course in Arizona. Now, it did close briefly, but now it's growing back up. I mean, I used to, whenever I would go to Bisbee, there was a little restaurant there that was always one of the things where it's like, I must go there. So I'm hoping that with the return of the golf course, they also opened up the clubhouse. So I can hardly wait to get to Bisbee and find out if indeed that's the case. So now is when we get to chat a little bit about PJ from the Valley Ho has created a cocktail. He does this every week. And so this week we have Sherbert Bluebird. It's a little bit of High West Double Rye, Varnelli Punch Fantasia, Heirloom Pineapple Amaro, Golden Flaredom, and Rainbow Sherbert. So now let's go over to my bartender, Bob. Well, kind of silent Bob. Nope. And so he's just kind of hanging out. And so PJ does a great job of all the ingredients are in one container. So I just do that. He even gave me the garnish with all those blueberries. So well, there we go. So let's see. How did PJ do? All right. So cheers. It was so funny because he said, well, what base do you feel like today? And I was like, I'm feeling like a whiskey. And so he said he kept adding more and more and more so you could actually taste the whiskey. So who knows how much whiskey's actually in it, but that's okay. So PJ, great cocktail again. And so cheers. I now get to bring on a very special guest that some of you might know, some of you might not know. And so I am bringing on. Oops. Oh, and look at there.
Hey, Marshall.
Caught you mid-pour.
Yeah, I'm a very basic. I don't have your fancy drink. But
so
this is my first drink in 11 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's an honor.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Here you go.
Indeed. So Randy, for those folks out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay. I grew up in Pennsylvania, a little town called Monongahela outside of Pittsburgh. Been here for 50 years, I guess. Did various things, different jobs, and ultimately I opened up a restaurant, which was always my dream. And then I opened up a second one, and I had it for 10 years, and then I retired in 2018, closed them, and now I just enjoy my grandkids, giving hugs, and writing the book.
Indeed. So I know you've come up with a little bit of trivia for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I just want to explain our trivia here. So unlike other trivias, this is more about the answers, and it's not about what you know. So we've got 10 questions. They're multiple choice. So even if you don't know the answer, just take a guess because, you might just be right. And then when we're all done with those questions, we'll take a little bit of an Arizona music history break. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about the answers and explain them. So that's where the fun and the magic really happens. All right. So let me lubricate my whistle just a little bit before we start.
I'm with you.
Oh, I can see it's going to be a fun night already. If there was any doubt. All right. What unique Phoenix food creation from 2013 became an international sensation? Was it A, the waffle truffle pancake? Was it B, the Twilly dog? Was it C, the Cracker Jack crusted banana? Or D, the bullseye burger? Yeah. All right. So one of those food creations back in 2013 became an international sensation. So you'll find out in just a little bit which one of those it is. All righty. Now you can keep track of, some folks keep track in the chat sometimes. I've had people send me photos of it written on their arm. You could even write it in mustard on a hot dog because you never put ketchup on a hot dog.
Yeah.
All right. Question 2. Who was the only U.S. president to stay at the San Marcos?
In Chandler, Arizona. Yeah. Anybody that might not know.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The San Marcos and Chandler, Arizona. So, yeah. We do have great trick questions sometimes, but this is not that much of a trick question. All right. So, A, was that president that stayed at the San Marcos? Was it A, Woodrow Wilson, B, Herbert Hoover, C, Teddy Roosevelt, or D, Richard Nixon? Who was the only president to stay at the San Marcos? All right. Question 3. What architect designed San Marcos of the Desert? Was it A, Ralph Haver, B, Benny Gonzalez, C, Frank Lloyd Wright, or D, Paolo Solari? Which one of those architects designed San Marcos of the Desert? Question 4. How many championships have the Arizona Cardinals won, including the 1925 to 1933 when they were called the Chicago Cardinals? All right. Is that A1, B2, C none, or D3? How many championships have the Arizona Cardinals won from their very inception? All right, question 5. Here we are at that halfway point. The current Arizona Cardinals team was originally named the following: A, the Morgan Athletic Club; C, the Chicago Vermin; C, the East River Mud Pikes; or D, the Seatown Battlers. I kind of like the sound of that D. It's got a nice ring to it. The Seatown Battlers. All right. Well, while you're figuring that out, we're going to move on to question 6. When was the last Pony Express of regular delivery of mail? So was it way back in 1891, which is A?
1861.
See, there we go.
Have another drink, Marshall.
Indeed. I think I will. Cheers. All right. So A, 1861, B, 1889, C, 1906, or D, 1944. All right. Does the Pony Express still deliver mail? Yes or no? All right. Moving on to question 8. The Chandler Christmas tree uses what organic material? A, cow chips; B, pine cones; C, barrel cactus; or D, tumbleweeds? All right. Well, you're trying to think what the Chandler Christmas tree looks like? We're going to move on to question 9. Are tumbleweeds native to Arizona? A, yes; B, no. And our last question, number 10. How old was the how old was the youngest? Is that like a double negative or something? How old was the youngest player in the starting lineup for the magical 2001 World Series?
The Diamondbacks. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Not because there was another team that played, but we're not talking about them.
Right.
All right. Was it A, 19, B, 23, C, 28, or D, 31? So how old do you think the youngest player in the starting lineup for the Diamondbacks was in that 2001 World Series? All right. Well, while you're locking in your answers, we are going to go on and do a little bit of an Arizona music break. And so I was lucky enough over the weekend to see Francine Reed, a music legend here in Arizona, part of the Reed family dynasty. I mean, they're in the Arizona Music Hall of Fame. Francine is in the Arizona Blues Hall of Fame. Now, Francine started gospel singing with her father, who was really her first musical influence. And then later, jazz, rhythm, and blues came in, and they would have a huge impact on her. They then moved to Phoenix, and she quickly became known for just her magnetic personality. And while she was here, she got to open shows for such great musicians as Miles Davis, the Crusaders, Smokey Robinson, Stanley Jordan, and Etta James.
Wow.
I know. And then one night she was performing in a little venue, and a virtually unknown singer at that point came in and was in rapture of her voice. And so Lyle Lovett was so impressed with her that he then hired her to be part of Lyle Lovett's large band. So she recorded several albums with him, as well as music on her own. Now, she lived here for 20 years and relocated to Atlanta, Georgia. And so what we can say is that a true Arizona legend now belongs to the entire world. And I'm so glad I had a chance to hear her voice over the weekend. It was really special. All right. So who's ready for some answers? What unique food creation from 2013 became an international sensation? The Twilly dog. So tell me about this Twilly dog.
It was, well, when I have my restaurant, the hot dog restaurant, especially every year for National Hot Dog Day in July, I create a unique hot dog. And I try to make something over the top so it gets some attention. And Channel 5 News was coming out to do a story on it on that morning. And I hadn't really come up with anything yet. But the night before, I decided, the Twinkie, they'd taken the Twinkies off the market for a while. And then they brought them back. And they brought them back the week before the National Hot Dog Day, 2013.
Oh.
So I ran to Walmart, bought a box, and came back to the restaurant. And I thought, I'm going to do something with a Twinkie. So I sliced it like a bun. I put a Hebrew National beef hot dog in it. And I looked at it, and I thought, well, that's nothing special. And up on the shelf, there was peanut butter. So I grabbed some Jif peanut butter and slathered it on there. That looks pretty good, but still needed more. And I said, peppered bacon peanut butter. So I did some pepper, put it on there. And then all the while I'm doing this, the cameraman, they were setting up to do the live remote at a certain, time on the TV. And so I walked out to him. We're 2 minutes out. And I said, here's my hot dog for this year's hot dog National Hot Dog Day. I said, I got 2 of them here. I need you to eat one. Make sure you like it. If you don't like it, I'm not going to. He said, I'm not eating that. And I said, come on, just give it a try. Come on, give it a try. So he did. He took a bite and he started chewing on it, looking at me, and I'm holding my breath. And all of a sudden, he took the rest of it and just ate the whole thing. He said, this is a winner. So we went live with it. And it's the best thing about it, Marshall, was it got international Shanghai. Okay. It became a huge thing in Shanghai. I don't know why it did, but it did. And my phone was set up, and anytime my restaurant was in the media, the news, or any type of thing, I would get a ping, and I'd get a. And I'm not kidding. It was such a rush for me because I'm just a little guy there, and all of a sudden my phone's going ping, 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 and I was getting phone calls from talk shows all over the country the next day wanting to talk about it. But the best story about this is there was a bunch of tourists at the San Marcos Hotel, and they're walking down, and they saw Pittsburgh Willie's and Wimpy's Paradise sign, and they had an interpreter with them, and he comes in and he says, I got a bunch of people out of here from Shanghai, a bunch of tourists. He says, they want to know if you're the guy that invented the Twilly dog. I said, you're kidding me. He said, no. I said, yeah, I am. I had to go outside. I had to pose with pictures with all of them. They all came in. It was just an unexpected rush, for something like that. And that's what I literally went international with it.
That's great. I mean, it's like, so you're big in China.
I'm huge in China. I was going to get a T-shirt saying I'm huge in China.
Exactly. That's just what I was thinking. It's like I'm a big deal in China.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
All right. So who was the only U.S. president to stay at the San Marcos? And that was Herbert Hoover. And so I know it's like, I know Chandler, the classic hotel early on is indeed the San Marcos. So lots of history built by Dr. Chandler.
Yeah. And all the movie stars back in the turn of the century and early 20s and 30s, that's where they'd go because there was nothing else around it. And they could have all this comfort and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So question 3. Oh, Tom, my friend Tom was a bellboy there.
Oh, wow.
Wow. All right. So, what architect designed San Marcos of the Desert? And that was Frank Lloyd Wright. So, he was actually in Arizona originally to work on the Arizona Biltmore, but that didn't go so well. And he got kind of kicked off that project. He then went out and started working with Dr. Chandler and designed what was kind of San Marcos 2.0. And so, sadly, the Depression hit, and none of it ever got built. But he did wind up building some of his camps out there that sadly there's not much documentation on. They actually wound up burning down. But Camp Akatia looked a lot like Taliesin West.
Huh. Yeah.
So, all right. So here we are. All right. So, question 4: how many championships have the Arizona Cardinals won, including the 1925 to 1933? They were called the Chicago Cardinals. Now, just because it says championships plural, that may be a red herring. And indeed, the answer is A1. But I thought they say they won 2.
Yeah, well, there's a huge story that actually the correct answer for the Arizona Cardinals would be 0. Sadly, they haven't won anything as the Arizona Cardinals, but they take on the history of the team that they took up. But what it was in 1925, there were only half a dozen teams in the NFL, and it wasn't organized anywhere like it is today. And there was this team called the Pottsville Maroons. It was made up of mostly firefighters, farmers, and grunts. And they played in the coal league, the anthracite league, and they won that league. And then that was in 24. In 1925, they petitioned to join the NFL, and the commissioner granted them okay. Well, the end of the season, the Chicago Cardinals had won the most games. And it wasn't uncommon for teams to schedule exhibition games with other teams just to raise revenue. So the Pottsville Maroons challenged the Chicago Cardinals with the championship on the line. And of course, they said yes. They played. The Pottsville Maroons beat them. And the NFL was kind of embarrassed. So the commissioner at the time said they didn't have permission to play, something like that. So they never gave the NFL title to the Pottsville Maroons. But to the credit of the Chicago Cardinals then, the owner, I think his name was O'Brien, he said, we can't take this trophy. We didn't win. They beat us fair and square. We're not going to accept it. So the trophy between 1925 and 1933, it wasn't awarded to anybody. And then when Bill Bidwell's father, Charlie Bottom, he claimed that title. So technically, they've won 2 titles. But if you're a purist, and which I am when it comes to sports like that, and the other thing is, too, this is interesting. A gentleman from Pottsville put a curse on the Cardinals and said that once the NFL started getting bigger and bigger, said, you will never, ever, ever win a championship until you give that trophy back to us. And the ultimate humiliation was this Super Bowl where they played the Steelers. They got within a minute and 48 seconds of winning the Super Bowl. They lost it. So some people think the Pottsville curse is still alive.
Wow.
Yeah. It's fascinating. People should look it up. It really is. It's a fascinating story.
I know. I saw there were a couple of books on it and things. So it's quite the story.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
All right. So question 5. The current Arizona Cardinals team was originally named the following. A, the Morgan Athletic Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was their very first team was the Morgan Athletic Club. And then they became the Chicago Cardinals and Arizona Cardinals. So
that must make them the oldest football.
Yeah, it does. I think there's 3 They are one of the oldest original. Yeah, the Steelers were 1933, which is my team. Um, but I'm really hoping the Cardinals win it this year because I don't think my team's going anywhere. And when the Steelers aren't playing, I'm a Cardinals fan. So
okay.
But if they're playing Pittsburgh, it's all Pittsburgh, baby.
Especially if the Steelers verse the Cardinals.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So, without a doubt. All right. So, when was the last Pony Express regular delivery of mail? Through Arizona, it was 1861.
Yeah, I think that was the last run, wasn't it? Anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it's where it ended in Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Or did it?
Well, it's a little bit of a trick question.
It is. Yeah.
Does the Pony Express still deliver mail? And indeed they do. So how is that possible, Randy?
Well, they just do it one day a year during the Scottsdale, what do they call it? Scottsdale Pioneer Days or something like that. I don't know what it is, but
it kicks off Parada del Sol.
That's what it is.
When they arrive in town.
Right. So they actually take several hundred canceled letters and they take them by Pony Express from Scottsdale to Holbrook. And they do it every year, and that's the only run they do every year. But technically, they legitimately do deliver mail on that one day.
Well, and it's funny because they were. I was chatting with some of them at one point in Scottsdale, and they're saying they don't publish the route that they're taking, so that way people won't try to track them down, even though they said that still happens.
Yeah, well, I can see some people that are part of these groups, the dressing, whatever, I forget what you call them now.
Oh, the reenactors.
Yeah, the reenactors dressing up like cowboys and filming it for YouTube. Robbing the Pony Express.
And getting letters to Santa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Postcards and things like that. I don't think it would be a huge haul. I don't think it would.
No.
Now, Allison asked, what is Potsman? So you had mentioned that early on the Arizona Cardinals competed against who?
Oh, the Pottsville.
Oh, the Pottsville.
It's a little town in eastern Pennsylvania. Pottsville Maroons is what they're called. Yeah.
Were the uniforms red?
No, they were. It's funny because when they ordered team uniforms when they went to join the NFL, the guy said the only thing we have is burgundy. He said, "I'll take them." So that's how they got. And they were from Pottsville. And they have maroon jerseys now, so they call themselves the Pottsville Maroons.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if they did that in a movie, nobody would believe that.
I know. Yeah. And there was a movie was based on that team. It didn't follow it exactly, and it didn't represent that particular issue. But it was called Breaker. I forget what it was called now. But that's what it was about. It was about a team based on this historical thing that actually happened. But I guess they didn't have naming rights or something they couldn't get, so they couldn't use the actual name. But, a little side note to that, too. I met with Ron Menninger, who was one of the vice presidents of the Arizona Cardinals, the year the Super Bowl was. And I went to him and I said, I called him, sent him an email. He invited me into the training facility on Warner Elliott there. Nice guy. And Bill Bidwell was still running the show then. And I said, it would be great public relations if before the Super Bowl, Mr. Bidwell could make a big dog and pony show out of it and return the trophy to Pottsville Maroons. I mean, you didn't win the trophy anyway. It laid unclaimed by the original Chicago team, and you just kind of grabbed onto it. But he said he'd leave it up to the NFL owners, and they voted on it. And he said it was 30-0 and 2-4. And the two that were for it were the two Pennsylvania teams, the Steelers owners, and then Lurie from Philadelphia. So he said, case is closed. We're going to keep it now. So
Wow. So they were tired of the curse, it sounds like.
yeah, they should be getting nervous this year because it looks like they're going to be definitely in the playoffs. How far they go, I wouldn't want that curse hanging over my head. If anybody from the Cardinals is listening, you know them. Tell them to get that trophy back to Pottsville.
So so I mentioned I'm from a small town, Indiana. So I grew up not far from where the movie Hoosiers not only was filmed, but where it was based on. Basically, how the underdog basketball team winds up winning the state championship against all kinds of odds.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, there was a huge billboard growing up, like going down the street. There it was.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So,
those are the best stories too.
right, it is. I mean, where it's like whoever and again, that's Hollywood magic.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. The Chandler Christmas tree uses what organic material? And it's tumbleweeds. I can only imagine they must have to look for quite a while to find that many tumbleweeds.
They start about 6 months beforehand.
Wow.
And it's getting harder and harder because so much of the area now is becoming, infield.
Right.
But they used to bring a lot from New Mexico, and they have sources all year long that will collect them and bring them in. But it takes over 1,000 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the amount of they have to spray fire retardant on it. And I don't know the numbers, but it's an incredible amount.
Well, I'm sure it is. Well, it's funny. So it's like I was talking to some folks over the museum at one point, and they were talking about the reason why they spray retardant on it. Because at some point, I guess one of the local youths climbed into the tree and decided to smoke a cigarette and caught the whole thing on fire.
Yeah, it went up quickly too.
Oh, yeah, it did indeed. So, and then they also paint it white as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So have they had the lighting ceremony yet? I don't know.
No, it's usually the first Saturday in December.
Okay.
And they have an electric light parade. It's phenomenal. It's really a big deal. It to me it parallels Disneyland's electric light parade. When the weather's good, it seems to be that's the weekend that always rains. But the place gets packed down there, and it's a great fun family event. So if anybody's in the area, keep that in mind.
Well, and I know up in Anthem they have the world's tallest. Yeah. And so I went up there not last year, but the year before for the lighting of that, and that was huge.
Yeah,
I didn't know there would be that many people out there to watch the lighting of a Christmas tree. I kind of thought that was passe, but oh no, it is not.
Yeah, and I think Javier Soto is the one that lights it every year, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's become his gig, his annual gig. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So are tumbleweeds native to Arizona since they have to find so many thousands of tumbleweeds? And they are not. They're from New Mexico.
Actually, they originated in South Dakota, I think it was.
Oh,
the first ones.
Okay.
And then they were brought, across the New Mexico, and then they tumbleweeded into Arizona.
And then they rolled their way right here.
There you go.
Another invasive species moving on in.
Yeah. The killer bees, tumbleweeds, and murder hornets all coming at you.
And there's that one plant that's covering the South.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but they're trying to find any ways they can to try and get rid of it or make it go away with no luck at the moment.
Yep.
All right. So who was the youngest, or how old was the youngest player in the starting lineup?
Good drink, PJ.
I know. Cheers to that. For that magical 2001 World Series. And it was D31. And it was Craig Cobsnell?
Great Counsel.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really an incredible statistic if you think about it, because sports generally is a young man's game. When you hit your 30s, mid-30s, you're starting to wind down in some of the sports. But that team was phenomenal, man. And
Yeah, I mean, they just had it firing on all. It's like, I mean, that was right after we'd moved to Arizona, so it was kind of like, oh look, we moved here and they win the World Series.
And they did it faster than any team in history. They were
I didn't realize that.
They were only 4 years old, 4 years in existence, and they'd won the World Series. And it was 9/11 had happened that year, that September, and this came in October, November, and it was really, it really brought the country together. It was magical. It really was, and it was. I was lucky enough to be at all the games, so that was fun for me. But yeah, it was pretty special. It was pretty special.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was everywhere. I mean, it was great because every place you went, there it was.
There it was, yeah. And the away games in New York, me and my buddies would go to a bar to watch it. And they'd get mad at me because I was rooting for the Yankees to win. Because I wanted the series to come back to Arizona because I wanted to see it in person.
Okay.
I didn't want it on TV. And they were mad at me the whole time, but as it turned out, they were happy the way it ended because we all got to see it in person. And listen to this too. This is interesting too. Game 7 walk-off World Series. There's not that many historically. I think maybe 10, if I researched it right, 10. And let's say each stadium holds 50,000 people on an average. That's under half of 400,000 people that have ever got to experience a Game 7 World Series walk-off hit. Because I mean, if it's a Game 7 and it's bottom of the ninth, that means you're the home team, because you bat last. So me and my buddies and everybody that was there that night got to experience something that less than 400,000 people that have ever walked this planet have ever got to witness. So
right.
that made
you're a small percentage of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unless it's like Woodstock and now there's 8 million people say, oh yeah, I was at Woodstock.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If everybody who said they were there, it
right.
would have been much larger.
Exactly. Yeah. But I got proof because my picture's in the paper. So.
All right. Well, I see people already kind of know. So Jeff got 3 out of 10. But I always tell people it's not necessarily about whether you got what you got right and what you got wrong. It's about the stories, and that now next time you go to a cocktail party, because cocktail parties are coming back.
They're coming back.
So, all right, Randy. Well, you have something really spectacular coming up very soon. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. I'd love to advertise. When I retired from the restaurant business, I miss it. I miss it terribly. I don't miss the work and the hours and everything that's going on now, but I miss the restaurant business. My place was a small mom and pop place, and customer service and was paramount with us. And anyway, in the 10 years I was in the business, I had so many interactions that were, if I could use the word again, magical, with different customers. And they impacted me tremendously. And I used to have customers that sometimes they were there to see some of it or part of it. And I used to always tell them, you got to write a book someday. So then when I retired, I started thinking about all the stories, and there were so many of them. And I said, you know what, I'm going to write a story about them. So it was almost 3-year process. Not because I'm a slow writer, but I am. I did everything by hand. But I had a son-in-law that passed away suddenly about 1.5 years into it when I thought I was going to be finishing it. And then I had COVID in January of this year, and that knocked me out of the game for 7 months completely. But I never gave up on it. I never lost faith. I have a tremendous support system. Tara and Deidre, who have been amazingly and mentoring me and helping me get it published. And in fact, just today, we sent the final copy into Amazon, and I should get my author's copy back in the next couple of days, and then we'll proof everything. And if it's good to go, We're going to make it available December 6th, Monday, December 6th.
Wow, that's really cool.
It'll be on paperback and also be on Kindle. So I'm pretty excited. I'm over the moon excited, to be honest with you. It's all about love and kindness and how, we all can impact people. You don't have to be rich, famous, or have a podium somewhere or a microphone. Right. Just passing someone on the street. Marshall, we've gotten people we walk around now with our phones like this. And it's not uncommon to pass people on the street, not even acknowledge them, because you're both looking at or if you're younger people, you're not comfortable looking people in the eyes because all your contact has been done in this little machine. And I'm trying to show the importance of when you pass somebody on the street, look them in the eyes and just nod your head. Say good morning. Hello. How are you? Because that person you're passing, you have no idea. They could be on literally, and I know this because it happened and it's in the book. They could literally be walking home on their way to take their own life. And the fact that you looked at them and you showed them they're not visible, someone noticed them, someone brought them out, that may be all it needs for that person to continue in life. And I call it a superpower. I call it love and kindness, unexpected kindness, unconditional love. It's we all have it. It's in all of us, and we can use it every day. No matter with the waitress at the store, the guy at the gas station when you pay, the guy that cut you off in the car. You have no idea what kind of day he's having and what he's going through. So just don't react. Just say, I forgive you. Go ahead, man. And then you go home and see your family again. We know recently here in Gilbert that didn't happen. The guy got out and lost his life. And for what? It's not worth it. So I'm a big proponent on kindness, love, and hugs, of course. And that's what the title was about. I had a hamburger restaurant, a hot dog restaurant, and then I started giving out hugs, which got tremendous media coverage. And so that's why the book became Hamburgers, Hot Dogs, and Hugs. And it's real stories. And I'm hoping people will enjoy it and take something away from it that says, hey, we could all be a little bit better just by acknowledging people, and being kind. So.
Right. And someone we both know actually made a comment, acknowledgement of humanity.
Oh, Tara. Yeah. Our leader of the Love Rebels. Yeah.
Indeed. Love Revolution. There you go. Yeah. So now can folks get your book early December 6th on Amazon? Yeah, we should be. I'm going to talk to Deidre, but I think she's sent it out today. But yeah, we should be able to have it available December 6th through Amazon. And then I'll also be doing some book signings here locally where they can purchase the book from me if they'd like, or they could purchase a book and come to the book signing wherever I'm having it. But yeah, they could do it. And I'm really excited because I'm real proud of my roots, my hometown, Monongahela, Pennsylvania. It's one of the best small towns in the world. And I'm going to actually do another launch there, probably after the first of the year, because those are the people that I grew up with. Those are the people that helped make me who I am today. You're not gonna wait for better weather.
I love cold weather because I don't live in it.
Okay, right. No, exactly. As long as you don't have to live, there's an end to it. It's like, hey, my plane takes off in 2 days. There's an end to the cold weather.
Yeah, and that makes sense. If I get there and it's 60 degrees, and the next day they get 20 inches of snow, I'm the only one that's happy. I'm loving it. I'm out there because I don't have to work in it. I don't have to live in it. I just have the beauty of the heavy snow and the memories when I was a kid of the, build a snowman, missing school. So yeah, that's. Where did you say you came from originally?
So the little town I grew up in is basically if you threw a dart between Indianapolis and Chicago, it's like right in the middle.
Okay, so you had cold, snowy weather.
I remember there was the blizzard of '78. We got snowed in the house. There were snow drifts against the doors, and we couldn't open the doors.
Yeah,
we had to climb out the second story and slide down the snow.
And you had no electronics to distract. You had to talk to each other.
Right. Well, and also you would lose power. So it's like you had candles.
Right. Yeah.
You had to huddle up to each other because the oil furnace would freeze, and that was the only way to stay warm. So
yeah. Good memories.
Exactly. So, and now we're here where we don't have to worry about 20 foot or 20 inches of snow.
But we have the opposite problem here because I hate 80-degree Christmases and 80-degree Thanksgivings. It drives me crazy. Christmas and Thanksgiving should be cold. And I hate that when it's Christmas Eve and it's 68 degrees and a high of 82 tomorrow. Oh man, I wish we could do something about that. But
well, that's why there's Flagstaff and Prescott. You can go up a little higher, so it's a little cooler. Well, you get some snow, but again, it's that same thing where it's like, okay, but then you get to come back.
Yeah.
And not shovel any of that snow.
I remember several years ago, between Christmas and New Year's, I still had the restaurant, and it was cold. We had snow. We had snow in Chandler, and they canceled the New Year's Eve party because it was raining. They were predicted a blizzard, not a blizzard, but heavy rain and ice and snow. So they canceled it. And I stayed open till 2 a.m. because there were still people milling around down there. And all the restaurants were closing. And I stayed open and I put coffee on or hot chocolate. And I sat out. It was really cool. People would pop in that were freezing. And, of course, out here, if it's 35 or 40, a lot of them are
right, wearing their parkas and their down parkas and their scarves and their big Russian fur hats.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, Randy, thank you so much for sharing kind of your passion and your knowledge.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been an honor to be here, and I'm excited. I'm excited to bring the book to the community, to the state, hopefully to the world, because it's a good message and they're good stories. They're really good. They're pretty good stories.
Indeed, they are. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, everybody that joined us tonight. Appreciate it.
And I hope people go out and get a Twinkie and throw a hot dog in it
with peanut butter and bacon. You gotta.
It sounds like something from the state fair.
It does. They would deep fry it though. The only advice I would give you if you're buying the hot dogs, don't buy natural hot dogs with a casing on them because they tear and you'll tear the whole Twinkie and everything. So that's real important. I learned that the hard way. You want to get a regular hot dog with no natural casing, which most of them don't have now, but just a little thing to make your experience a little bit better.
So my very first job outside of the house was working for a Chicago hot dog restaurant. It was some guys, they decided that they wanted to open this up, and so I think I was there about a year making lots of hot dogs. And
you made the traditional Chicago hot dog with a poppy seed bun and
poppy seed bun and had the steamer and everything.
Kryptonite relish, the bright green relish.
Oh, indeed. Yeah. And that's where I learned it's like no ketchup.
Yeah.
Only mustard.
Yeah. My restaurant, you can put once you paid for it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Exactly. That's the way it should be, whatever you want.
But that shtick it does work in Chicago, and it was kind of fun. But
right. And so that was kind of what we reported. Although, to make things exciting, we started like deep frying hot dogs.
Yeah.
Just because it was like you only eat so many hot dogs until you want something a little flavorful, different.
Right.
So yeah.
I should have brought some hot dog statistics. It's phenomenal. I mean, the average American eats, I think, 68 hot dogs a year. Most of us aren't. So a couple of those people are eating way more.
A lot of hot dogs.
Yeah, a lot of hot dogs. So
beanie weenies. We're having lots of beanie weenies.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Beanie weenies. Yeah. Marshall, I can't thank you enough for having me on here. It's wonderful, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoy you. You're a great guy.
You as well. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Marshall. Bye-bye.
And a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Same to you, bud.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. So now you will see why I said you'll want to share, because, we're talking about stuff that who knew that the Arizona Cardinals haven't necessarily won the championships they say they've won? All right, so now we're to a segment called From the Vault. So what we're doing is we are going to talk about something that's in kind of plain sight, that is just on ASU's campus. And you can kind of see a little bit of it here, not very well. but it is, you can see right there, it's on Rural Road and Terrace Mall. And if you actually go into all those trees, you're going to find a work by James Turrell called Skyscape. Now, it was originally the concept. So James Turrell does a lot of light-based art, lots of really cool stuff. And so he really created this as kind of a modern interpretation of ancient Hohokam ruins that provided shade, or the pit houses, or even right down to the baskets. And so it is this perfectly centered 15-foot square opening above this, what you think is like almost like paper thin, but what you don't realize is it's about 16 tons of steel floating above you. Now at night, they do light it with a variety of colors, very James Turrell, to kind of alternate those colors. So I really love this because it's one of those that's hidden in plain sight, where if you didn't know what you were looking for, you would never see it. So next time you're out in Tempe, go take a look at Skyscape. So now next week we have Kimber Lanning from Local First Arizona coming on. So that, is going to be a great show. We'll be talking about all kinds of cool things. And hopefully I will see some of you over at the Melrose Community Market on Sunday from noon to 6. We'll be having all kinds of fun at Lyceum Park. So I look forward to seeing you there. Now, remember, if you have any questions, comments that don't make it into the chat, feel free to throw them off to me in either email, chat, or otherwise. So now we are going to end this evening. So my friend Cece and another friend Fabrizio, who's been doing the videoing and editing, we've started a new project. And so I think I showed this once before, but now if you go to Hip Historian on Facebook, you can actually see at least the first episode, which is now done, when we go out to Mesa to visit someplace that's really spectacular. So that is how we're going to end tonight's episode. But I always want to give a shout out to PJ Vader Baron, who is my cocktail advisor, who provides me with garnishes and cocktails, which is always good. As well as my friends Chris and Cole, who did that great intro video. So without any further ado, let's hear from Cece.
Hi, I'm Cece.
I'm Marshall.
And we are Deep Arizona.
Hey, Cece.
Hey, Marshall.
We're starting a whole new project.
A whole new project?
Indeed, called Deep Arizona, where we are going to go on road trips around the state, highlighting hidden gems to let people know all the amazing things they can do right here in Arizona.
You mean secret, hidden, only Arizonian stuff would know?
Yeah.
Like off the beaten track, like nobody else would know stuff?
Exactly. And our first stop is going to be to Mesa, Arizona.
Mesa?
We're going to Mesa to see the world's largest organ.
What?
Yeah. So come on, everybody. Come join us as we go have some fun in Mesa, Arizona.